Welcome to our presentation. This is actually an informal conversation with two dear colleagues. And we are starting and using our collaboration and project, The Listening City, as a prompt for us to actually reflect on a practice that is digital storytelling. So it will be somehow an informal conversation, will be very fluid. So let's start with some structure, but then let's free our mind and creativity, and let's talk freely about our experience within digital storytelling. So Daniel, as you are the one I've been working with for longer, could you please start introducing yourself?
My name is Daniel Onyango. I am from Kenya, and I have interacted with the concept of digital storytelling for quite a long time, and focusing more with how to use digital storytelling to highlight issues facing the community that I come from, that is in Nairobi. And my background is in community work, community development, and where I work with young people and creatives, highlighting some of the issues that we as young people face especially in the informal settlement of Nairobi. And that's how I came across the idea of digital storytelling.
You are also an artist and a musician and a singer, so I think stories are also part of your own creative practice. So there is a sort of bridge between your creative practice, your commitment to community building and supporting young people within your own community, and the work we've been doing together. Actually, very recently, we've been also publishing together a book, part of an important publication about co-teaching and co-research, connecting Africa and Europe through our shared practice.
Thanks for yeah. It's a very kind of, like you said, as an artist, as a creative, as an activist, and very much engaged in a lot of community mobilizing. The digital storytelling, and storytelling in particular, has been very instrumental in the work that I do.
So even just with your introduction, and now we'll move to Pia, which is coming in from a different disciplinary background, because my background is in history and computer science. I've been working in the creative arts, but you, Pia, you come from a completely different disciplinary field.
I work as a landscape architect normally. So we also met some time back, and I've also been very fascinated by digital storytelling and how to integrate that into my work. I work very much with landscape architecture and urban planning, but also a lot with participatory processes. So trying to use kind of a what do you say, from grassroots, work from the grassroots, but I also many of my clients are the top down, so I'm kind of in between. And then the digital storytelling has been a very interesting tool to use as I'm like moving around between the top down and the bottom up perspectives.
And in fact, participation is one of those keywords. I was really rereading the abstract we submitted for this conference, and actually participation and interdisciplinarity, these are the two, let's say, pillars of our collaboration. And also the desire, the ethos, the values of our collaboration are about, as you were saying, dismantling those hierarchies, and therefore not working top down, but actually changing the perspective and working with the people, for the people, and using storytelling as a way of connecting people, but also to make them truly share what they feel, and in particular in this project about a specific place. So as we said, Daniel is from Kenya, I'm based in the UK, and you are in Sweden, and this project was based in Sweden. So what happened, Pia?
Yeah, so I've been working for a while with it's a big development project happening, and it's run by the Stockholm municipality. So I work in a firm called Landskapslaget with a lot of landscape architects and urban planners. So we had been tasked to work with a project called Mälaräng. So it's a future housing project. It will be a lot of new houses and and parks and public spaces that will happen on it's a big infrastructure area today. So they will kind of turn that around to become more of a housing area. So we've been working with that one with Stockholm municipality as our client for some time. And then it's an interesting area because it's in the middle of two very different neighborhoods. We have Bredäng on one side, which has maybe a more low socioeconomic environment with a lot of people from other countries living there, a lot of big high-rise buildings. And then on the other hand, on the other side, we have the lush Mälarhöjden, which is a more of a maybe high socioeconomic area with more villas and very green and beautiful along the water. So this area that we are working with is in between these two neighborhoods, and it's a road that separates these two areas. And while we were working with this whole new area is kind of bordering the two, so it will become kind of a meeting. How can you say, like a zone where the two areas can come together, because they used to say that they have the biggest social segregation in Stockholm, but they are also as the closest to each other. So they have this road that separates them, and under the road and also in connection to this new development area is a tunnel for pedestrian and bikes. And the municipality had decided that they wanted to do something with this tunnel. And also it's both kind of a symbolic place, because it really symbolizes a border, but it can also be a new meeting point, and it can be a portal of something else. So as we were working with this more long-term project, we also were tasked to work with this more short-term project. So the idea was to work with a participatory method and see how this can be kind of a portal and a meeting space between the two areas, but also with this new area that will, all the new people that will move into to all these new apartments. So that was kind of the first task.
Daniel, I would like to reflect with you, because you know very well how the digital storytelling process works. So for the ones who are not familiar with it, we generally organize workshops where there are facilitators who are supporting participants to actually have conversations during the story circle. And then we move through different creative steps, which can be script writing, audio recording, video editing, and then there is a sharing phase in which, again, we all come back together to watch each other's stories and have conversations about how those stories have been transforming and shifting ways of thinking. So Daniel, you have experience in placemaking activities you've done in Nairobi, and I was wondering why you think that on this particular project in Stockholm that we use the word listening. So we often talk about storytelling as the main activity, but why you think that listening is so important in terms of placemaking and community building?
I'll say the question is it's quite a big question to think about, but I think the concept of story is also to enable the possibility to listen, and that's the biggest aspect of storytelling, is also listening to each other and understanding each other. And in this context, I think how Pierre narrates the situation of the neighborhood, there seem to be probably biases, there could be misunderstanding or misrepresentation, and that could be connected to probably either of the two sides that are divided by this particular landmark, that is the bridge or the tunnel. Sorry, probably they're not speaking to each other. They're not connecting to each other. So that the possibility to do something together opens that possibility for them to listen to each other and to see from different perspective what each other kind of contributes in making the space better for everyone. So that's just what I thought about when I hear this the listening city concept. Yeah,
which is a very incredible metaphor. And Pia, I was really reflecting on your ability. I always thought of architects as people really looking at tangible aspects of society and urban environments, whereas you seem very interested in the intangible as well, because you've been using these words about, you know, something that is a barrier, a physical barrier, becoming actually a portal, like to connect people. So I'm really intrigued by your perspective on tangible and intangible within your own profession.
I think I've always been interested in those conversations, and I think also I don't know if I can say I'm lucky to be a landscape architect, because I work very much with the public spaces. At least in Sweden, it's the public space and the areas where that is free to be, that is for everyone. Those are the places that I work with, that I design, and maybe the tangible and the intangible is also I guess it's also the things that you don't see, and like the social how can you say, very much the social layers that happens in those public spaces. And I think I work with the public space, it has to function for the people. So the people are always very central in the design. And I feel that for it to be functional and to really respond to the needs of the people in a public space design, it really has to be designed from the people. So I think that's maybe why I'm very interested in this question, and also the tangible and the intangible.
Now it's a question for you both, and probably Daniel, if you want to respond first. And it's about challenges and opportunities of using digital storytelling within your own work and within your, you know, as an activist, Daniel, as an architect, Pia. So what do you think that, I mean, in a good way, in terms of opportunities that storytelling can help you achieve? And on the other side, what do you think that is still a bit difficult when applying digital storytelling within your own field of application? So Daniel, and just think about your experience.
I think there's so many I would say possibilities that emerge from the use of digital storytelling, and from my context, I think is the possibility to give people who probably their voices were silent an opportunity to be heard, and also to amplify their voices in platforms that probably they will not have a possibility to reach. To me, that's very important, and also the most significant is that you get to find solution, generate solution organically from the people who are probably in those spaces, and they contribute to knowledge that maybe other sources will not manage to capture. So that's a very important. I think the biggest challenge is in terms of accessibility. When you talk about technology, you talk about, for example, people have no possibility to access more if it's mobile phones, and how to use. It's the biggest challenge when it comes. And also, I see now with advance in technology that these tools can also be used to spread misinformation when it's in the wrong hand, and with the wrong people, probably, if they have the skill to do this. That's the only challenge I see. But in my context, I see this is an issue of accessibility, the equipment, the software and the hardware to do that. That's my perspective on the two. Yeah.
And that's great, thank you. Because we didn't mention that, but actually the digital storytelling process implies the creation of short videos, and therefore, in a way, it's a great opportunity for upskilling. So to train people in using the software and video editing tools to then create these short videos. But of course, sometimes we need to rely on internet connection, so it's not always very, very easy. And same things for the screening sessions. Sometimes we really need to have a space where those stories can be projected and shared to have those conversations. Thinking about the listening CD project, any top memory from this experience?
Yeah, I think it was the first time when I saw people crying in my work. I think it's a both me, but also the participants were quite surprised how emotional it can be, and how like powerful the stories were. I think that was really something that they really made an impact to both the participants, but also us who work with the project, and also to because we worked with different age groups, so we had people from both areas and also different age groups. So the youngest, I think, was 15 and the oldest were 70 something. And it was also very fantastic how all the different perspectives came up, because if you I've been working in other kind of participatory methods, but then when maybe you ask questions and it's another way of guiding the participants, but here it's very free to really give your perspectives and your thoughts, and I think that's a very valuable tool to also understand people and the life. It gives more than just to say yes or no. It really gives a lot of context also and now this was about when it's about design and change something, it also gives more, the context can also influence how you get there, not just the perspective, but also kind of it can also give hints on the process to get there. So I think that's how it is. So it's in that way it has been very, very valuable to understand the place and the people and the different perspectives, and also guide the process. And then if I think about the challenges, it's always, I think when you work with participatory methods, it's always also for me to also how will that be physically implemented in a place? How can we really take these stories and these perspectives and turn it into physical form or an artwork or so I think that's maybe the challenge, which I also think is very exciting. It's a very good challenge, but I think that's maybe that's the challenge that I can think of when using digital storytelling in landscape architecture and public space design.
Great. You actually made me think about two very important aspects of digital storytelling facilitation. So that one is about a light touch. I mean, that is a participatory method which requires a lot of experience in interaction, but also the facilitator must be very sensitive and gentle in reminding people that they are driving the process. And also you mentioned the process several times. I mean, very often in digital storytelling, even if we are developing outputs, which are the digital stories, the digital films, actually the process sometimes has got something more to offer than the outputs per se. But I also like your reflection on how those outputs can have a longer term impact on the local community. So just to close this conversation, we could carry on for hours, and I'm sure that would be brilliant. But just to close with a final thought, that could be about the next step. So for this project or other projects, thinking again how to expand the application of digital storytelling within this context, not just the Listening City as a project, but actually this idea of supporting people identifying their own self-understanding of sense of belonging, but also how to reconnect with other people and create a community space where that sense of belonging can be shared, even if from different perspectives. So your next step, your dream project, your ambition, what could be? Daniel, if you want to start.
I think I've been mostly in the mode of digesting, because it's been quite so a lot happening within the whole the digital storytelling, and now the artificial intelligence taking over. I think I'm still excited with the perspective of community engagement, collaboration, and to facilitate, like you said, to help in people to come out and provide solution, especially now that there's so much happening in the world and in our community. For example, here, how do we work with, for example, integration and community building? Yesterday, I was facilitating a small workshop about building bridges, and I talked a lot about storytelling, and I was thinking how I can leverage on that to continue with that kind of work, healing community through storytelling and digital storytelling. So that's something that I'm inspired about, even though at the moment I'm like it's a lot of things happening in my mind, but I'm more interested in to continue to work with community community healing, I would say, collaboration with different researchers, architects, and the different people to make the world and our communities a better place.
Yeah, maybe that I also when you talk about building bridges, and I think for me that's also, and also in my work, that's really what I like. It's those projects that I really remember when I managed to make people meet each other and understand each other, because if I relate it to public space again, it's also a place for meeting, and I think today we are also it's becoming more and more important to understand each other's perspectives and each other's differences and similarities, and not to have a good society. So I think I really believe that I think digital storytelling is really a way to bring forward stories and people that you maybe you would not meet or talk to normally, but maybe by seeing those stories and listening to the stories, it can also give you perspectives on yourself and find answers to things. And I'm now, if I refer to the Listening City project, for example, I think there were some subjects that we discussed, like segregation or integration, for example, which is it's very hard it's hard to define. But there was some 3 young girls from Bredäng, from the area, who who really brought up the issue of segregation, and they put it. They told the story about it, and it's also and also described how it's actually the parents who have a lot of prejudice about each other. It's not coming from one area, it's also from both areas, and I think that's also an interesting angle on how to. Now we work with this tunnel, but then it can also be something else, and I think that's, to me, that's a very exciting way also to work with these huge questions that is hard to grasp, but it's so important to have a functional society. So yeah, maybe that would be my my dream project, to continue on that path.
Yeah, absolutely. And the best thing you did is that you ended our conversation with a story, with a little story from this young person, which is the best way of actually valuing storytelling as a process for unpacking complexity, but also to teach us as academics, as activists, as professionals, that listening is an act of generosity and is never passive. And going back to what Daniel was saying, actually, that valuing creativity, and in particular within community building, creativity as an act of collective well-being. So I think that is probably something we learned together by working together, not just for this project, but thinking about previous projects we have developed together. So to the next project then.